So every single year in the NBA draft, there's the draft steals, which is basically just the players that got picked in the late first round or the second round that nobody even thought they were going to become good, but then they become actually decent players, or maybe even all-stars. I'm going to be counting down the top 6 NBA players that were draft steals in the 2017 NBA draft, because they played their whole rookie season, and now we have a good idea of who the draft steals were in the 2017 NBA draft. So with the 30th pick, the Los Angeles Lakers selected Josh Hart, and you know, nobody really expected anything from him, but turns out he averaged 8 points per game in the regular season. He shot 46%, nearly 47% from the field. He shot like 40% from the three-point line, and he was actually pretty decent. He played 63 games, and he was a pretty decent backup shooting guard. You know, he's a 6'5" shooting guard, and he actually like had a little spark off the bench. There were some games where he did good, and you know, he's a draft steal because nobody really expected anything from him, but he actually like turned out to be actually pretty decent. He has a bright future. I mean, he only shot 70% from the free throw line. But, you know, he's probably working on that in the off season. He'll probably improve his game all around. So yeah, that was number 6. Let's get on to number 5. So with the 45th pick in the NBA draft, the Memphis Grizzlies selected Dillon Brooks. Played all 82 games in the regular season. He averaged 11 points. He shot 44% from the field. He shot 35% from the three-point line. And he was a pretty decent player, you know. Nobody really expected anything because he was drafted in the second round, which is mainly why I put him on this video, because he was in the second round, the 45th pick, and literally like probably no one expected anything from him. But he actually had a couple good games in the regular season. That was number 5. Let's get on to number 4. So at number 4 is John Collins from the Atlanta Hawks. He averaged 10.5 points per game. He averaged 7.3 rebounds. He was 57% from the field, and he was a pretty good rookie because, you know, like no one really expected anything from him because he was a late first round pick. But he actually might become a fringe all-star. He was in the Rising Stars game this year, and you know, he was a pretty good player. He could catch a lob if you want him to. He's a pretty good dunker. Also, he was on the all-rookie second team, so that's a big accomplishment for him. And yeah, that was number 4. Let's get on to number 3. So number 3 is Jordan Bell. Although he only averaged 4.6 points per game, he was a pretty good player for the Golden State Warriors championship team, and he did stuff that didn't really show up on the stat sheet. He shot 68% from the field. He was a pretty decent passer. He had 1 block per game in the regular season. He was just an all-around good player. He was a good defender. Like, he just does the stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, like hustle for loose balls, and you know, play really good defense, and you know, he was a pretty good pick and roll player. So at number 2 is Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers. He was the 27th pick, and he was a really good draft steal because he averaged 16.1 points per game, 45% from the field, 36% from the three-point line, 2 assists per game, and you know, he was a pretty good player. And you know, he could score at will. He could attack the basket. He's a pretty decent three-point shooter, and he's the future of the Lakers unless the Lakers trade him for Kawhi Leonard, which is a big possibility. Go check out my video on that, Kawhi Leonard, where I think he gets traded to. So yeah, at number 1 is, you already guessed it, Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz. He was the 12th pick or 13th pick, I think, and you know, no one really expected him to be, I mean, some people might have expected him to be good, but nobody expected him to be this good. He averaged 20 points per game in the regular season, 4 assists, 43% from the field, 34% from the three-point line, 80% from the free throw line, and he was just all-around good player. And in the playoffs, he led his team to the playoffs. Nobody expected the Utah Jazz to make the playoffs this year, but Donovan Mitchell led them to the playoffs by himself pretty much, because Rudy Gobert was injured like a lot during the season, and he led them to the freaking playoffs, which is pretty good. and he was in the all-rookie first team, obviously, because he averaged 20 points per game, and his team beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, which were the higher seed in the matchup in the playoffs in the first round, and he averaged 28 points per game in the first round against the freaking Oklahoma City Thunder. That's unbelievable from a rookie. So yeah, that's gonna be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you next time.